Hello, beloved. I'm here today in large part because of other people. And one of the people that I owe a continued debt to is my friend Alex. If there's anything that is professional about this little presentation, it is because of him. He edits and offers suggestions, and he's going on vacation for a couple of weeks. So I'm going to do two messages kind of back to back. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll link the two. So this week, I'm going to talk about a word that we don't like to use very much. We don't like to think about very much, even though we do it all the time, and probably ought to be doing it more. And that word is submission. And then the next week for you, I want to talk about what we're submitting to and why. But today, I want to talk about submission. Now, submission is a word that is about as far from the American vocabulary as it is possible to be. We are not in a country that was founded on submission, quite the opposite. We value liberty, we value freedom, we value the right of the individual, and we should do all of those things. We should also submit, but to the right thing. We should never submit to oppression. And we should never allow ourselves to be the oppressor. How we react to that oppression isn't how the world would normally think we should react. But to be clear, submission to oppression is never what we're talking about here. I'm talking about submission to something that is good. I'm talking about the kind of submission that we do every day. We submit to the rules of traffic. I submit to the fact that I need to wear clothes. I submit to the fact that I need to show up to work on time. There's a social contract that we all agree on, and we submit ourselves to the other, even though there are some times when we really want to break that. So, for instance, on the day that I was married, I was supposed to get my pictures done. So Linda and I, 30 minutes before the ceremony, we're waiting to get our pictures done. And there's a woman in front of us who was there before us, and she is going very slowly. I wanted to get in front of her, but I didn't, because I submitted to the social contract. Now, there's that kind of submission, and we do it all the time. And then there's the time that we fail to submit when we should. So when we are given a piece of good advice, but we don't follow it. And we've all been on both the receiving and the giving end of that equation. We've all been told at some point, don't do that. It's not going to work out well for you, but we do it anyway. And I think maybe one of the reasons why we do it that way is that there is a difference between knowing something here and knowing something here. And sometimes we have to take the hard lesson before we get it. Hopefully, we have enough trust in the people who are talking to us that we take the advice, but we don't oftentimes. So, for instance, when my son finished boot camp, he was told, don't do these three things. Don't get married, don't get a motorcycle, don't get a tattoo. So the first thing he did, as soon as he got home, not 20 minutes after he got home, he went to the store, he bought a motorcycle, he bought a big screen TV, which he then could not take with him to Okinawa. So I was the beneficiary of his big screen TV. He got a tattoo. The tattoo he got, the eagle and claws, the Marine Corps symbol, was missing the eagle's talons. So it wasn't a great tattoo, but he got it. And he got out in, I think, October. He wanted to get married January. Sometimes we need to take the advice of others. So another time, I had a group of kids on a ski slope, and one of them saw a run he wanted to go down. It's a double black diamond. He's never been on skis before. He's a teenager. Prime time for not thinking things through very clearly. And he goes down. And of course he falls. Nobody got hurt, but I had to walk down the slope with him. It was embarrassing. It was long. It was hard. You submit to the double diamond, or you take the consequences. Submission is something that is very hard to do because we want other people to submit to our will rather than submitting to the will of another. But if we keep making the same mistake over and over and over again, at some point you're going to have to say, okay, whatever thinking I'm doing is not getting me where I want. Maybe I ought to submit to some other point of view. What that other point of view is, next week. I want to talk now just a little bit about a story that illuminates this idea, and it's the story of Jonah. And here it is. This is the story of Jonah. In all of the Bible, this is it. This little piece of flimsy paper is a tale of Jonah. And you probably know the story of Jonah insofar as you're aware of Jonah being swallowed by the whale, right? And that has the sense of a folk tale about it, right? But a folk tale with a deep and abiding truth in it. And the larger story is this. There's a city, and God wants that city to change because it's not doing well. And the city in question in the book of Jonah is Nineveh. But it could be any city. Pick your city. It could be New York, Washington, Hollywood, Beijing, Tehran, Dubai, Moscow, however, whatever city. Choose a city, right? And God says to Jonah, go and preach to that city and change their minds because they're getting themselves into trouble. Things are going badly there. And Jonah goes, I know. Those people hate us. They don't want any part of us. I don't want to go there. So he gets in a boat and he literally tries to go to the ends of the earth. The place that is named in the Bible is literally the furthest away you can get. And of course, on his way, he's swallowed by the whale. He has a change of heart at that point, and there's this lovely poetic poem that Jonah gives. This is "Thank you for saving my life," which often happens. You know, we make a wrong choice and we go, "I'll never do that again." And then so he's heaved out onto the land, and God says, "You ready to go to Nineveh now?" God, and so Jonah goes, "All right, I'll go to Nineveh," and he goes to Nineveh, and lo and behold, the city changes. Good happens. And what is Jonah's response? He's angry. And he goes up on a hill and he looks down at the city that's now changed and he's mad at it. And so God makes this plant grow because it's really hot. It's in the middle of summer and it's 105 degrees and he's got shade. He thinks, oh man, there's at least some shade while I look down in hatred at this city that I've just saved. And and then God takes away the plant and sort of comes around and puts his arm around Jonah and says, Jonah, why are you so angry? And Jonah says, because I don't like it. And God says, look, you didn't make the plant that gave you shade and gave you a comfort, and then I took it away, and you're still not happy. And why are you mad that I've given these people shade, Jonah? And Jonah is still angry. And that's the end of the story. God says, look, Nineveh was in trouble. Shouldn't I take care of Nineveh as well as you? Jonah, I don't like it. And that's us. That's us too often. We say we want the city to change. But when change is offered, but not in the way we want it, we're not willing to submit. So next week, what I want to talk about is what we're submitting to and why. So until then, God bless, beloved. You are loved.